It's the morning after the demo. You've just shown the client this incredible AI workflow. It's working perfectly. It summarizes emails, updates the CRM, drafts responses. It feels like magic.
The client's loving it.
They are smiling. But then the smile fades just a little, and they ask a simple question. So where does this actually live? And who pays if we run this 10,000 times?
Yeah, that's the moment.
And right there, the project doesn't collapse because the code is bad. It collapses because you realize building the AI,
Yeah.
that was the easy part.
Yeah.
You built a prototype, but you didn't build a system.
Right. It's that sinking feeling in your stomach. You've done the fun part, the prompt engineering, the logic puzzles, but you haven't done the delivery engineering, and that is a completely different beast.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are stepping away from the hype cycle. We aren't talking about the latest model release or, some new feature. We are settling into a much calmer, maybe more critical analysis of professional AI delivery. We're looking at the philosophy of systems. How do we move from a cool prototype on a laptop to a reliable automation that lives inside a business?
I love this topic because it's where the rubber meets the road. We're seeing a massive shift right now. We're moving away from prompt engineering, which is just, getting the model to talk, into delivery engineering. This is about reliability, security, billing, and frankly, keeping your sanity as a builder so you don't burn out.
We have a really comprehensive guide in front of us today, the AI automation delivery lifecycle. It argues that most failures happen after the demo. So our mission today is to really dissect this lifecycle.
Let's do it.
We're going to look at the 3 models of hosting, the non-negotiables of security, which, spoiler, should be boring, the psychology of billing, and then the art of the clean handover.
It's a roadmap for professionalism. If you follow it, you're a systems architect. If you don't, you're just a tinkerer with a dangerous toy.
Okay, let's unpack this. The source material starts with a very strong claim. Most delivery issues come from hosting decisions made way too late.
Yeah.
It seems like a technical detail, but the author argues this is the core conflict.
It absolutely is, because where the automation lives determines who owns it, who pays for it, and who gets sued if it breaks. The guide outlines 3 models, and mixing them up is where people get into so much trouble.
Okay, let's walk through them. Option 1 is what the source calls the recommended path. This is where the client hosts.
Correct. Think of it like being a specialized consultant or an architect, right?
Okay.
When you hire an architect to design a house, they don't build the house on their own land and then rent it to you.
Right.
They build it on your land. In automation terms, the client buys the software license, the Zapier seat, the Make account, and you, the builder, you just step into their environment to assemble the furniture.
That makes sense. Keeps the lines clean.
Yeah.
But then there's option 2, internal operations. This is where you, the builder, host it.
Yes, but there's a huge caveat here. You can only do this if the automation is for your own business operations.
Aye.
Let's say you have an agency and you use AI to route your own leads or generate reports that you then email to a client. That's fine.
Because they never log in.
The client never logs in. They never see the gears turning. You're selling the outcome, not the machine.
Okay, but I want to push on this next part.
Yeah.
Because option 3 is the SaaS model. And honestly, that's the dream for a lot of people listening, isn't it?
Sure.
You build one amazing automation, you host it, you charge 50 clients a monthly fee, passive income. Why does the guide warn against this? Why should we walk away from that?
I'm not saying walk away from revenue. I'm saying know what game you're playing. If you host the automation and let clients log in, you are no longer a service provider.
You are a read.
You're a software vendor.
Which means
you are legally responsible for the data. If your server gets hacked and 50 clients lose their customer lists, you get sued. Not OpenAI, not the platform you. You're the data controller. And if you look at the terms of service for standard API keys from, say, Anthropic or OpenAI, they often strictly forbid reselling the utility without an enterprise agreement.
right.
So unless you have a legal team, a VC fund for those enterprise licenses, and a cybersecurity expert on retainer, don't pretend to be a SaaS. Be a high-end architect who builds on the client's land.
So the golden rule here is client work means the client hosts.
Pretty much, unless you want to be a tech CEO with all that liability.
Why is that distinction between service and product so critical for a freelancer?
It prevents legal risks and expensive licensing fees.
Moving on to the next layer, we have the foundation, the hosting, now we need the walls. Security. The source makes a point here that I found really interesting. Good security doesn't look impressive, it looks boring.
I love that line. Security should be boring. It should be predictable. If your security is exciting, something has gone very wrong.
Let's talk about credentials. I
Yeah.
think we've all been guilty of this, especially in the early days. Hard coding an API key right into a script just to test something. It's easy, it's fast.
It's the classic rookie mistake. And the rule here is absolute. Never paste API keys or passwords directly into workflow steps.
Ever.
Professional automation platforms have what are called environment variables, or a credentials vault. You save the key in this secure vault, and the workflow just references it by a nickname.
So the code just says, use my OpenAI key, but it doesn't actually show the string of characters.
Exactly. It means if you download the workflow or share a screenshot or export the file to send to a friend, the key isn't there.
Yeah.
It's stripped out. It's basic hygiene, but it saves you from accidentally leaking your credit card to the whole internet.
And then there's the issue of entry points. Webhooks. Now, for anyone listening who might know the term but not the mechanics, a webhook is just a way to trigger an automation from the outside world.
Right. It's a public URL. You send data to that URL, and the automation wakes up and runs.
And that sounds a little dangerous.
Webhooks are terrifying if you think about them too much. A webhook is basically a public door to your automation. If I have the URL, I can knock on that door.
And if it's not locked?
I can walk right in and run your bot on my data, on your dime.
Okay, let's stick with the door analogy.
Hmm.
If I have the address, the URL, I can walk up and knock. How do you actually stop me from coming in? Is it just using HTTPS?
Well, HTTPS is the baseline, but that's just a secure tunnel. It stops people from listening in on the conversation, but it doesn't stop someone from knocking. The mistake most people make is thinking the URL itself is a secret. It's not. It'll leak.
So what's the lock?
The lock is something called header validation.
Translate that for me.
Think of it like a speakeasy. Knowing where the door is isn't enough. When you knock, the bouncer asks for a password. In tech terms, the sending server-like typeform or stripe includes a secret handshake in the data packet headers. Your automation shouldn't just open the door, it should check for that handshake first. If it's missing or it's the wrong password, you don't even run the workflow, you just slam the door.
You know, I have to admit something here. Even just discussing this, I feel a bit of that anxiety. I still wrestle with the fear of a prompt injection or a data leak myself. You hand these systems over to a client, but you worry, did I close every loop? Is the prompt tight enough? What if someone tricks the AI into revealing something it shouldn't?
That's a very healthy fear to have. If you aren't a little scared, you aren't paying attention. And honestly, the only way to manage that anxiety is through what the source calls data minimization.
Okay.
If you're processing personal data names, emails only pull in exactly what you need for that specific task. Don't dump the whole database into the context window. And limit who can see the execution logs. If you limit the surface area, you limit the blast radius if something goes wrong.
Blast radius. That's a vivid image.
It's the reality. You want a small pop, not an explosion.
That brings us to a different kind of risk. One that is maybe less technical, but just as dangerous to a project. The money.
Ah, yes, the awkward conversation.
The guide calls this the friction point, billing. And the rule is, clients own their API keys and clients pay for their usage.
Non-negotiable.
I hear you on transparency, but let's be real. If I hire an expert, I don't want them handing me a confusing checklist and saying, go figure out OpenAI's dashboard. Isn't that just bad service? It feels lazy. Here, you go do the hard part.
It feels lazy if you just dump it in their lap, sure. But think about the alternative. If you pay the bill, you're effectively acting as their bank. You're floating them credit.
But agencies pay for ad spend all the time, right? They just mark it up.
They do, but ad spend is usually capped and predictable. With AI, the volatility is insane. One bad loop, one recursive error where the AI talks to itself, and you could burn through $500 in an hour.
Oof.
Do you want that liability on your personal credit card? And more importantly, do you want to have the conversation where you try to bill the client for that mistake?
No, I definitely do not want to have that conversation.
Exactly. When the client uses their own key, they see the usage limits, they see the costs racking up in their own dashboard. It connects the action using the tool to the consequence paying for the compute. It stops you from being the middleman.
So how do we solve the laziness problem? How do we make it smooth?
Loom videos. It's such a simple tactical tip, but it works. Record your screen. Show them. Click here, click billing, click generate key, copy this string. If you hold their hand through the scary dashboard, the friction just vanishes.
And what if they just refuse? What if they say, here's the key in an email, just take it?
If you absolutely must handle it, you treat it like a nuclear launch code. never in plain text. Use a one-time encrypted sharing tool like 1Password or something similar. You want that key to be revocable, and you want zero trace of it in your email or Slack history.
So handing over the billing isn't just about money, it's about trust.
Exactly. It removes the mystery and puts the client in control.
Okay, so the client is paying, the keys are locked up, the headers are validated, but we're missing the big one. The part where the robot actually does the work.
The logic.
The logic. And the guide has a term for testing this that I absolutely love. It calls it the black box method.
This is my favorite part of the methodology because it changes how you look at AI. Most people test by clicking the run button on a single node and seeing if it lights up green. Oh, the API connected green light, I'm done.
Right.
That is not testing. That is checking connectivity.
Green doesn't mean correct. Green just means I didn't crash.
Exactly.
Okay.
Testing is about what happens when messy, chaotic, human reality hits your pristine logic. The guide says, don't wait until the end, get real data immediately.
Real emails. Real CRM records. Why is real so important here? Why can't I just type test email into the box?
Because fake data is polite, real data is rude.
Leverest.
Real data has missing fields, weird formatting, emojis in the subject line, duplicates, spelling errors. You need to see how your system handles the rudeness.
And this leads to the concept of safe failure.
Safe failure is the mark of a pro. If the system breaks, and it will break, does it break loudly or quietly? A loud break is. The automation stops, the data is lost, and the client calls you screaming. A quiet, safe break is. The system detects an error, logs it, sends an alert to the admin, and stops processing that specific item without crashing the whole pipeline.
The guide suggests hiding the complexity during client testing. Don't give them the whole node editor. Give them a simple form.
Yes. A chat box or a simple interface, input goes in, output comes out. You treat the AI as a black box. You don't care how it got the answer, you just check if the answer is right.
And the question is key.
The question you ask the client is crucial. Don't ask, what do you think? It's too vague. Ask, is this factually correct? Or is this tone on brand?
There is something kind of magical about that black box approach when it works.
It really is.
I mean, imagine looking at a spreadsheet of 1,000 inputs, customer complaints, let's say, and then watching 1,000 outputs populate right next to them. You're seeing the system thing it at scale.
Whoa.
It's like watching a brain work in fast forward. It's reliable. It's not a magic trick anymore. It's a machine.
That's the goal. When you can watch 1,000 rows process and trust the output, that's when you know you've built a system.
So we've tested. It works. The data is real. Now comes the breakup, the handover.
Deep exit strategy.
The guide says the handover determines if you get repeat work. It's the final impression. But there's a darker side to this too. Something engineers call the bus factor.
Oh, the bus factor. It's a grim concept, but it's so necessary. If you, the builder, walk out of the office and get hit by a bus, can the client access their own system? If the answer is no, because the password is in your head or the workflow is on your private laptop, you haven't built a business asset. You've built a hostage situation.
So how do we lower the bus factor? What are the technical steps?
First, versioning. This is standard in software dev, but it's kind of rare in low code. You need two versions. Test in production. Never, ever experiment in production.
Never.
Client wants a change, you make it in test, you verify it, and then you push to prod.
And backups.
Crucial. Don't rely on the tool's cloud storage alone. Export the workflows. Save the JSON files to Google Drive or GitHub. If the platform goes down or the client accidentally deletes the workflow, which happens way more than you think, you need a hard copy you can restore from.
The guide also mentions cleanup.
Oh, please clean up your code. Label the steps. Remove those temporary nodes you used for debugging. If another developer opens your workflow in 6 months, they should be able to read it like a map.
Not a bowl of spaghetti.
If it looks like a bowl of spaghetti, you haven't finished the job.
And finally, documentation. And I think we both agree here. Nobody reads the manual.
Nobody reads a 50-page PDF, but they will watch a 5-minute video. A quick Loom walking through the settings and the keys. That is gold. It's usable.
There's a legal structure to this handover as well. Defining done.
This protects everyone. You need a definition of done, agreed upon criteria. When X, Y, and Z are working, the final invoice is sent. And importantly, you have to separate the project from the maintenance.
This seems to be where a lot of freelancers get stuck. They build the thing, but then they are on the hook forever for every little bug fix.
Forever. And usually for free. You have to draw a line. The project is built. Now, if you want me to monitor it, fix bugs, handle updates, that's a maintenance retainer. New features, those are new projects.
Right.
If you don't separate these, you will absolutely burn out.
It sounds like the product isn't the AI, but the peace of mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Clients pay for confidence, not just clever prompts.
So let's zoom out. We've covered a lot of ground. The big idea seems to be this shift in mindset. Anyone can connect two tools and make AI do something cool for 5 minutes.
That's a demo.
But professional AI automation is about building systems that live inside a business without constant babysitting.
That is the whole thesis. It's the life cycle. Host it correctly, so ownership is clear. Secure the data so you can sleep at night. Make sure the client pays the bill so the relationship is transparent.
Right.
Test it with real messy data. And hand it over clean so it can survive without you.
It's moving from being a magician to being an engineer.
Exactly. Magicians are fun for a night. Engineers keep the lights on.
I want to leave our listeners, especially the learners out there, with a bit of a challenge. Look at the projects you are working on right now. Are you building prototypes or are you delivering systems?
And here's a provocative thought to take with you. If you walked away from your automation today, just ghosted, totally disappeared, would it survive next week without you? If the answer is no, you haven't finished the job.
A sobering thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the mechanics of delivery. We'll catch you on the next one.
See you then.